Hello and welcome to the Pioneer Accounting Center, or PAC, training video series. My name is Jan. In this video, we will be covering expenses, reimbursing a Pioneer member. Let's start at the top of the example voucher you see on the screen. The voucher number is blank on the voucher form and is a convenience for you to use. We don't use it here in the office. The line below the voucher number asks for group, chapter, and unit information. If you have not already done so, please watch the PAC training video Introduction to Website and Voucher Basics, which will show you how to gather the information you'll need in order to complete this line. Once you determine what information this line should contain, it will not change for your unit whether you are completing the voucher for an expense, a deposit, an advance, or a transfer. Of course, if you prepare vouchers for more than one unit, please make sure that the unit name and unit number match and are correct for the unit that you're preparing the voucher for. This mostly pertains to chapter treasurers who can find the information they need on their monthly balance sheet report. For this example, we are reimbursing a Pioneer member who purchased items and needs to be reimbursed, so we will check the expense box, and you can just click it to check it. For the date column, this is the date each expense was incurred, and you will find this date on your store receipts. In the description area, please give a complete but concise description. Not too long, not too short. It should tell us what was purchased and what it was for. For instance, food items for club picnic or materials for Hug-A-Bears. The taxable column is not used on expense vouchers, just deposit vouchers. Please watch the PAC training video on deposits for further information. The amount, you will get the amounts for this column from your store receipts. If several receipts will have the same coding, those amounts can be added together and listed on just one line. If the receipts for your combined line have various purchase dates, please use the earliest date over here in this date column. For the account code, refer to the account code glossary on the PAC page of the Pioneer's main website for a list of the account codes available, along with a description of each. Expense codes generally start with the number 6. The state column, this is where the purchase was made. If something was ordered online, please use the state that the item was shipped to. For the project ID, again refer to the project ID list on the PAC page of the Pioneer's main website for a list of available project IDs, along with descriptions and examples. The internal use column, this is for PAC use in tracking additional data that we need to use here in-house. This column replaced the old 990 column, which is no longer used, so you would not use this on your expense vouchers. Down here for the total, if you're completing the voucher by hand, you would total all the amounts in this column and put that total here. If you are completing the voucher electronically, it will total these amounts for you. This example voucher lists some items that we commonly see on vouchers. Your unit may use all of these descriptions, account codes, and project IDs, or none of them. You'll find that based on the projects and fundraisers that your unit does, you will probably use just a few items over and over again. Let's take a look at this first line, food items for picnic. You'll see that it's coded to 6610 meals. If you're purchasing food to give to a food bank or another organization, you would use account code 6700 materials. 6610 is only for Pioneer consumed food. You would not use account codes 6710 or 6715 on a reimbursement voucher. Those are for donations. Refer to the descriptions in the account code glossary on the PAC page of the Pioneer's main website for more information on those account codes. If it's necessary for your description to be quite long, like the mileage line at the bottom of the description area on this sample voucher, please do not type it all on one line, because as you can see, it makes the type too small. It's quite alright to break your description onto 2 lines if necessary. So we're just going to take this and put it on that next line. And you can see it's much easier to read. Now, while we're on the subject of mileage, the Pioneer's current policy allows mileage reimbursement to be either 14 cents a mile, which matches the IRS rate of 14 cents per mile driven in service of charitable organizations, or else the current business rate as posted by the IRS. If your chapter allows mileage reimbursement and your rate is 14 cents a mile, this amount is not considered taxable to you for your personal income taxes, and the entire amount would be coded to 6620 mileage. However, if your chapter uses the IRS current business rate, any amount that you are reimbursed over the 14 cents per mile is potentially taxable to you on your personal income taxes if it accumulates to $600 or more in any calendar year. If that is the case, we would need a completed W-9 form from you before the end of the year, so that a Form 1099 can be sent to you in January of the following year. Now, there needed to be an easier way to track who needed 1099 forms for excess mileage, so a second account code, 6625, mileage subject to 1099, was included in the database, which was implemented in September of 2015. You'll see that the mileage line in our example is being paid at the 2018 business rate, which is 54.5 cents a mile. So 60 miles times the 54.5 cents a mile equals $32.70. In this example, it is broken down into the number of miles, 60, at 14 cents a mile, which equals $8.40, and that is coded to 6620. The next line has the same number of miles at the rate in excess of 14 cents a mile, which is 40.5 cents a mile. That equals 2430, and it is coded to 6625. The project ID stays the same for both lines. Let's go to the payee information section. This must be on the voucher if a check is needed. Please make sure that the address is correct, including a suite or apartment number if necessary. Checks have been delayed or returned to our office because the post office could not deliver them because of incorrect or incomplete addresses. Let's go over here to the approvals section. The submitted by portion. This is the person submitting the voucher for approval. It is usually the same person who prepares the voucher, in a lot of cases the unit treasurer, but not necessarily the same person as the payee. The submitted date. This is the date that the submitter is giving it to the approver for their approval. The approved by section. This should be a different person than the submitter. It's an extra pair of eyes to make sure that everything is correct. Some things to keep in mind about approvers. Generally, allowed approvers include the unit president, immediate past president, vice president, and others as allowed by that unit's executive board. Especially if it's a small unit, it could be a treasurer or a member at large that is also allowed to approve vouchers. The payee cannot approve their own voucher, so Jane Stewart in this example could not approve her own voucher. It would need to be someone different. Family members cannot sign or approve. This includes spouses, partners, parents, children, siblings of the payee, etc. An electronic signature is okay, and an email approval is okay, like you see in this example. In that case, when you're sending the voucher to your PAC associate, in the body of your email, you would say something like, I approve the attached voucher to Jane Stewart in the amount of $1,251.31. No photocopied signatures. Those are not allowed. And the reason for that is we don't want those pre-signed and then filled out. It should be signed afterwards so that the approver is actually looking over the information on the voucher. If your total amount here is $5,000 or more, your PAC associate will forward the voucher and receipts to your group board member on the international board for additional approval. It still needs the unit approval here, but because of the amount, it needs that extra approval. This also may take some extra time. This approver is vouching for or making sure that the coding, receipts, and totals are complete and correct. It should be the last person to look it over and then send the voucher on to the PAC associates for processing. So you would complete the date here as the date that you are sending it to your PAC associate. Now with the voucher, you would include all the itemized receipts. You want to make sure that the receipts are complete and not cut off. It should show the name of the store or restaurant, the date, the listing of the itemized purchases, and the total. Please avoid phone pictures. Those get distorted and come across as quite unreadable. Credit card statements should be used only as a last resort. They should not be the first thing that you include. Please try to have receipts first. Were gift cards purchased? Is that included in your description up here? If so, you'll need to complete the gift card reporting form and send the completed form in along with the voucher and receipts. Please submit the voucher, receipts, and anything else you need to include within 30 days of the date of the expense. As you see, this example uses old dates. There's quite a difference between the date on the receipts and the date that it was submitted and approved. And this voucher may not be honored if it was actually sent in for processing. The exception to that 30-day guideline is at year end. We must receive the vouchers by our cutoff date in early January, so that makes it less than the 30 days. It makes it sooner. Section for PAC use only is what we use while we're processing your voucher, so you would not put anything in there. Thank you for watching this video on expenses, reimbursing a Pioneer member. If you have any questions, please contact your PAC associate.